Psalms 33:1 through 34:22. Devotional focus verse. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. Psalm 34:3. My husband and I live next door to 4 of our grandchildren. Some months ago, when the oldest 2 were at our house visiting, they found a magnifying glass in my desk drawer. They were curious about what it was, so I took them outside and introduced them to the wonders of inspecting our environment close up. We studied a leaf, scrutinized the root of a dandelion — yes, we do have a few of those in our yard — and examined the fine filament of a spider web strung from our deck to a nearby bush. Flowers that seemed ordinary at first glance proved to be stunningly intricate and beautiful when magnified. My grandchildren were fascinated. From that afternoon on, the 2 of them have knocked frequently on our door and asked to borrow the magnifying glass in order to check out some new discovery in the backyard. They've found that the tiniest of items, when observed through the magnifying glass, become awesome. Minute details are suddenly visible, and new beauty appears. I can't count how many times they have summoned us. Grandma, Papa, come and look. You need to see this. In our focus verse, the psalmist David said, O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. What does it mean to magnify the Lord? Charles Spurgeon, 1834 to 1892, preached that it meant to greaten God. That fits with the original Hebrew word translated magnify, which means to make large. Spurgeon was not suggesting that we can make God greater than he is any more than the magnifying glass will enlarge a flower. Rather, it is our perspective that changes. A close study reveals details we never saw before. Spurgeon was teaching that we should promote God, lift him up, and make him known. When we take time to carefully read God's Word and do our best to study the heart and mind of God, we make new discoveries about him. We see him in a new way. We realize he is bigger, better, more wonderful, and more able to solve any of the problems that face us. And our natural response is to exclaim in wonder, to share our discoveries, and to call others to come and see. In short, to magnify him. Today, we can purpose to closely focus on our amazing God and then be prepared to share our discoveries. Background information. Psalm 33. The author of Psalm 33 is not identified, nor is there a title. This psalm takes the form of a meditation and may have been sung as a hymn of rejoicing and adoration. It opens with a call to worship and has 3 main sections: praise to God for his word and works in creation, verses 1 through 9, in history, verses 10 through 17, and in redemptive power, verses 18 through 22. The stringed instruments mentioned in verse 2 differed only in form. They were all hand-held and plucked with the fingers. The harp is one of the oldest known musical instruments. In that era, it had a wooden framework with 7, 8, or 10 strings and was small enough to be easily carried. See 1 Samuel 10:5. The psaltery or lyre may have been of Phoenician origin. It likely was slightly larger than the harp and probably provided the lower tones in the music. The heathen referred to in verse 10 were the Gentiles. These were set in contrast to the nation whose God is the Lord, verse 12, which was the Jewish nation. Psalm 34. Psalm 34 is classified as an individual lament. According to the superscription, it was written by David after he changed his behavior before Abimelech. This refers to 1 Samuel 21:12 and 13, where David, because of his fear of Achish the king of Gath, changed his behavior before them and feigned himself mad. An explanation for the differing names of the king is that Abimelech, cited in the superscription, means "my father is king," and was most likely a title denoting royal lineage, while Achish was the actual name of the king. Similar in many ways to Psalm 25, Psalm 34 was written in acrostic form, with each verse beginning with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. However, a letter, and therefore a verse, is missing between verses 5 and 6, and verse 22 does not follow the pattern. Adam Clarke's commentary suggests that placing verse 22 between verse 5 and 6 would give the psalm a better flow. A well-loved psalm, the theme is that of praise for God's gracious treatment. The exhortation to praise is reinforced by the psalmist's personal testimony of deliverance from fear, danger, trouble, and affliction. Verse 7 is the first reference to the angel of the Lord in the Psalms. This is the Old Testament phrase for the divine presence which is both identified with God and distinct from Him. Verse 20 is a prophetic look ahead to Jesus' crucifixion. Although Roman soldiers typically broke the legs of criminals who were crucified in order to hasten death, Jesus' bones were not broken. Conclusion. David recognized that the God who commanded the world into existence is concerned with our everyday needs and magnified him with song and public testimony. We want to do the same.
Psalm 33. Rejoice in the Lord, O ye righteous, for praise is comely for the upright. Praise the Lord with harp, sing unto him with a psaltery and an instrument of 10 strings. Sing unto him a new song, play skillfully with a loud noise. For the word of the Lord is right, and all his works are done in truth. He loveth righteousness and judgment, the earth is full of the goodness of the Lord. By the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. He gathereth the waters of the sea together as an heap, he layeth up the depth in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord, let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spake, and it was done, he commanded, and it stood fast. The Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught, he maketh the devices of the people of none effect. The counsel of the Lord standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance. The Lord looketh from heaven, he beholdeth all the sons of men. From the place of his habitation he looketh upon all the inhabitants of the earth. He fashioneth their hearts alike, he considereth all their works. There is no king saved by the multitude of an host, a mighty man is not delivered by much strength. An horse is a vain thing for safety, neither shall he deliver any by his great strength. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death, and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waiteth for the Lord, he is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us, according as we hope in thee. Psalm 34. I will bless the Lord at all times, his praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make her boast in the Lord, the humble shall hear thereof, and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. They looked unto him, and were lightened, and their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. O taste and see that the Lord is good, blessed is the man that trusteth in him. O fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him. The young lions do lack, and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing. Come, ye children, hearken unto me, I will teach you the fear of the Lord. What man is he that desireth life, and loveth many days, that he may see good? Keep thy tongue from evil, and thy lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil, and do good, seek peace, and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. He keepeth all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and they that hate the righteous shall be desolate. The Lord redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate.